Hi, it's me, Ingrid Eilfi, and I'm sitting in the forest. And fun story, I met old man on the way here, and he was warning me about apparently there's a rabid squirrel that climbed on top of this lady that was walking in the forest, and just climbed up this lady's leg. And this old man had apparently, he didn't want to hit the lady with his walking stick, but so he tried to prod the squirrel away, and then instead he tapped the ground with his stick, his walking stick, and the squirrel ran away. But yeah, so that's the kind of thing that happens. To me, the most exciting thing that's happened to me today, all day, has been that this guy talked to me, because in Sweden, a stranger never talks to you unless it's an emergency. So yeah, I got this story out of this man. I didn't ask for it, but I'm happy to learn. I did not see that rabid squirrel on the way, but I have an eye out for him. Now, for those of you who watched my video where I was talking about the snake, there was no snake. It was actually a slow worm, which is called a copper worm or copper snake in Swedish, but it is not a copper snake. It's actually a legless lizard. So yeah, and I actually saw another one when I went out at the time. I also saw a deer like crossing the street, which was a little bit confusing because on the other side of the street there was like no trees or anything, so I don't know what he was looking for. But maybe he'll find some garden with some nice flowers to munch on. I don't know. You guys also missed me actually seeing a squirrel. Like right when I finished filming, he came and started climbing up the tree, and that was really nice. Now, I haven't seen any of those animals on my way here. There have been a lot of butterflies though. These very, very small green butterflies, and a lot of them. So yeah, it's nice to know summer is here. I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt actually, which means that summer has come here in Sweden. I'm so unused to the weather. It's like I feel like there's a weight that like I'm missing something, like my coat. But yeah, soon it's summer, or it is summer now. It's just that, well, soon it will be, time where everybody's on holiday and everything. And midsummer will come. I'm planning on maybe going to the south of Sweden, meet my old internship friends. We'll see how that goes. I also went to see Alanis Morissette in about 2 weeks. So I have plans. Yesterday, however, I feel like I depleted all my energy for today, so I left my house at around 4, so yeah, I felt so tired. I don't know what happened, but I depleted everything. It was nice. There was they had international foods, and they had international music of different styles, and you could try out different crafts. I wanted to try out engraving, but that would have taken too much time. And it's nice to support local artists and businesses, so I helped out different groups with like buying some of their muffins and stuff like that. It's nice because it's on such a smaller level, because my town is smaller than Stockholm. So Stockholm Culture Night is a completely different experience from my town's Culture Night. We had I got to try out felting, which I suck at. but it was fun. I did end up breaking the needle because I was, you're punching this cushion thing, and it's, yeah, I went a little bit too angrily at my cushion. So there's that. And also the person next to me, she actually stabbed herself in the finger with the needle, and it started bleeding all over the place. So yeah. And I also made a jump rope out of like strips of cloth. So that was interesting. I also learned about renovation of old windows from some lady from the museum. And yeah, it was just a nice situation, and it was good. It's just I get overstimulated. It's just I start feeling my energy levels going down, and once I feel that, it's like I don't get a warning. The warning comes a bit too late, so then by the time my body feels tired, it's like I really need to go now, and it's like if I don't go now, I'm going to get a meltdown. So I left, but yeah, that's why I was so tired today. I slept like 9 hours, and then I couldn't get out of bed, and I couldn't get myself to do anything. I bought myself some acrylic paints, so we'll see if I can like paint something. I have a book that's called like 365 Days of Creativity, which I've wanted to fill since like several months back, but it's only now that I have the paints in order to paint in the book. So I have like zero skills at drawing or anything, so it's mostly just seeing the movement of putting paint onto a piece of paper. That's kind of the goal here. Just to start with that. But I couldn't do any of that this morning, and not even like, yeah, so I only left the house at 4, so now I'm here. I listened to an audiobook that's yeah, so I finished the book Proto, and I listened to the audiobook of A Room of One's Own by Virginia Woolf. I would not recommend it as the first book that you read by Virginia Woolf. I would say To the Lighthouse or The Waves are better starts. Mrs. Dalloway is a little bit less. A Room of One's Own is a completely different style because it's kind of an essay, but in the guise of fiction. So yeah, I like her writing style, her poetic nature, her stream of consciousness, how simple things are, yet how complicated they are. I think that she's very good at that. She is also progressive in certain aspects of her feminism, is that she understood that basically that women did not have the opportunities to write, and that's why they need a room of one's own, basically, to be able to write. And if women aren't given the opportunities, that they're denied an education, and stuffy old men are like feel that they're superior to women, and create a culture of resentment towards women, then women aren't able to thrive, and women don't feel the self-confidence to write and all that. So that's the nice part of this book. However, she does have some views that are pretty offensive, and one of them is, well, basically her whole point of the book, you could take it in two ways. You could say like, oh well, so she's advocating for that women are they need a room of one's own, we need to help the situation of women in society and all that. But basically that's not her. What she says is basically don't be poor. That's what she says. So it's not like she's giving any call to politicians to help the situation of women. She's basically saying, women, you have no excuse to not write, because nowadays we have all these opportunities, and we don't need to be poor. Like, you know, how privileged is that? You know, like, she's like, oh, well, I only have a... It's basically like how Trump says, like, he had a loan of $1 million. She's like, I don't know how much money that was in those times, but she's like, oh, I have £500 a year, and a room of one's own, and now I can write, and I'm a genius in writing. She literally says that poor women can never be geniuses. Like, she has this idea that poor people are inherently incapable of writing. And it's like, it goes against her whole thing about, like, okay, well, they just didn't have an opportunity to have the time and the, you know, the education to be able to write. But yeah, she undermines her whole point by making it all about, like, well, earn money so that you can write. It's like, okay. So that disappointed me quite a bit. But yeah, so now I'm reading another book, and this book is called The Autistic Survival Guide to Therapy by Steph Jones. I will do I'll do a deep dive into it in another video, but I would say that this is a really good book for autistic people and for therapists. And I think it's good because I've had so many bad experiences in therapy, and a lot of autistic people, from the sound of different members of the community, have also had these very bad experiences. And it talks a little bit about, you know, things that therapists need to think about. Sorry, I got a mosquito on my hand. And so things that therapists need to think about, things that we need to think about in order to find a good therapist, and reasons that we might want to go into therapy, and what kind of therapies, I guess, that could be good. I'm around halfway through, so I'm enjoying it so far. There was a person who reviewed the book and who was neurotypical, who was like, oh, I really hope that this isn't the experience of autistic people, because her caricature of the bad therapist was really bad. And it was like, yeah, however, she talks about, like, this therapist called Veronica, which is just an amalgamation of all of the bad therapists that she has met. Yeah, it's kind of my experience, though. Like, I recognize a lot of the things that this bad therapist does. So, unfortunately, it's been like that. At the moment, I'm having a hard time with my therapist because he's quite passive, and I kind of feel like I need a little bit more guidance. But I do feel like he's much better than quite a few other therapists that I've met. A lot of therapists just are very pushy, and they have a certain way of doing things, and they blame me for, you know, they'll blame you for if the therapy is not going well, or if you do not click, or if you say that you want to change therapists, they're like, oh, well, that's because you're not ready to go to therapy, and you're basically doing therapy wrong. And it's like, yeah, kind of a skill issue on your side, though, you know? It's not me, but it is hard because I kind of internalized, like, oh, like, I guess that's, you know, if I can't really do therapy, then it must be my fault that I'm not, you know, that I'm not good at therapy. Like, I'm not working on myself hard enough or whatever, but really that's not the case. You know, I'm trying really hard, and their style is not working for me because they don't know anything about autism, they don't know how to deal with it, and they misinterpret everything that I do. So even the best therapist, the one that I liked the most, the one that I clicked with the most, the one at the Company Healthcare Center, even he actually is the one who said the more that I talk to you, the less I think that you are autistic. And when he was saying that, he was referring to me having empathy, basically implying that having, like, being autistic means that you have no empathy, which isn't true. Now, I don't have like high levels of empathy like some people do, but you know, autistic people can have empathy, and also empathy levels don't determine if you're a good person or not. It's rather like what you do with empathy, if you are compassionate, if you like help people, if you're, you know, a good person. That is, you know, that's the important bit here. It's not the internal feelings that you have about certain things. But yeah, so I'm just saying that even the best therapists that I've ever had misconceptions about autism and misconceptions about certain, you know, cognitive functioning, you know? So, yeah. And my current therapist, unfortunately, is sick very often, and that is stressful for me as an autistic person because I need to know in advance if he's going to, you know, cancel on me. And it's not his fault, but it does send me in a loop, like, because this is like the 4th time it has happened, and I can't deal with this anymore. Also, he is a very, you know, he works with ACT therapy, and he works, I think, because he talks a lot about, you know, following your values, going in your, what's meaningful to you, how do we get there, compassion, based like self-compassion, that kind of thing. I do think that maybe I need like a therapist who knows more about autism, and if they don't know more about autism, at least that they know about, you know, I don't know, trauma or DBT therapy, or a little bit more about ACT therapy, or like some kind of, you know, that's, they give me some kind of guidance about what to do next, because right now I'm great at self-reflecting. That's the whole point of this channel, is that I reflect on things. I overthink things, you know, I reflect and reflect, and I can, you know, think about all of these things. But, and so I can do I can do things, but it's just that sometimes I need to be putted in some direction or another. And I don't want it to be done in a pushy way, but sometimes I just feel like I'm just talking to a wall when I'm talking to my therapist. So it's like, I think I need a little bit more input from this therapist side. So even though he's not the worst therapist, I feel like there's probably better. But I'm not in the position to like look for anything at the moment. So I'm letting it be for now. Next week I'm going to be evaluated. It's my mid residency evaluation, which is extremely terrifying for me. But yeah, so that's what we're going to do. And also, so I have the acrylic paints. I'm going to try to paint. I have this plan on trying to like get to buying a bike and trying to learn to bike again. It's very scary to me, and also the fact is that a ton of bikes get stolen in this place. So it's like, yeah, I go through all of this effort just to buy a bike, and then they will get stolen within like the first 3 months or whatever. So I don't know how that's going to go. And yeah, so I was thinking like, wow, I felt like, okay, I'm going into depression, I don't have any will to do anything. But it's not really that, it's that I feel like I have no energy to do the things, and then that doing the things is so difficult because I keep overthinking everything, and everything is very scary as well. So I wish to have a little bit more help and guidance on that route. I also, like, I wish to have a little bit of, yeah, I also need to think a little bit about what I'm going to do with Pride, because Pride Month is coming, and also Pride will be in Stockholm in the beginning of August, and I don't really know what I feel about that, because I don't know if I'm, you know, if I feel like I can do that, and if I, you know, I don't really know where I'm at on the LGBTQ scale. That's the topic of another video, so I'm going to end it here. But yeah, have a great day, everybody. Bye.